Om Sri Sai Ram. In Kodaikanal, during morning sessions, Swami permitted me for 2 days in 91, last 2 days of his visit to Kodaikanal. Every evening, I was blessed to sit at his lotus feet and do his Padaseva. And then I requested Swami, I want to attend morning sessions. And they were last 2 days and he permitted me. So I was sitting with my dear friend, late Ram Natnani from Surat, Gujarat. Swami first spoke to me about my mother and he commanded me that you call your mother here and you take care of her. That was his command. And he said, your mother is a very noble lady and you must take care of her and call her here. And she stayed with Swami till her last, till 2010. Then Swami turned to Ram Natnani and asked him, kya samachar? This gentleman, he had this guts to say, Swami, I am nothing. मैं तो आपकी कठपुतली हूं. I am your puppet. Swami said, hey, I have not created puppets. I don't need puppets. Everybody claims to be my puppet. I want my performers. God has created man to perform, not to be his puppet. That was a great revelation for all of us. And then I contemplated on this declaration, and he, in his inner view that he appears to me always, he explained, the entire creation is my puppet, you can say. No lesser entity has any power to think, to decide, to discriminate. But man I have created in my own image, and I have given him that power to know, to think, to love, to perform. You are my performers, not my puppets. Being from film industry and owning theaters in District Thane, Mumbai, we have been watching shootings and movies right our childhood entire. So I tried to compare this entire universal drama, this going on. And Swami enlightened me that when we watch a movie, we have the movie projected on the screen. So long as the movie is being projected, we cannot see the screen. But whatever we touch, what is being projected on the screen, be it hero or the villain, maybe the fire or the water, maybe the floods, whatever, we touch the screen. Because in reality, the fire on the screen does not exist. And the screen is simply witness. It is not affected either by the floods on the screen, nor by fire on the screen. So God as a screen is just a witness, but also whatever we witness in theaters on the screen, at some place it is actually shot in the camera and performance has been given. And who directs the performance? The director. The director decides the entry, the exit, the costumes, the camera, the dialogue, the villain, the co-stars, the action, and even the reaction. We have seen so many shootings. Nowadays, they are available on YouTube. In the entire shooting phase, if you observe, even the best of heroes or best of performers cannot decide the dialogue, not even the delivery of dialogue. How to deliver the dialogue also is decided by the director. Every line of storyline is scripted and decided by the director. Performer just comes. He is told that this is your today's scene. You have to wear this costume. You have to deliver this dialogue. And this is how you have to enter. And this is how is your exit. everything in details. Even the background of the scene is decided and controlled by the camera and the director in every detail. But we cannot say that the performers, the hero or the heroine are puppets of the director. The same role play being performed by different artists will give different level of performance. So the performers have to perform to please the director. They have to know their reality and play their role. One of the best actors of our industry, Mr. Dilip Kumar, he was first asked in an interview, what is the secret of your such beautiful performances as Salim or as Devdas? He said, whenever performing any role, be it Salim or be it Devdas, I always keep my real identity at the back of my mind. That I am Yusuf Khan, I am Dilip Kumar, I am neither Salim nor Devdas. I keep my identity at the back of my mind and then give the performance. So in a way, I am detached from the role play, but yet I am able to give the best of my performance because I know at the back of my mind that I am neither Salim nor Devdas. So whatever is asked for me to play, I play without any ego, without any choice. I just do my best. I give the best dialogue delivery, whatever is required of me. That is the secret. We have to know our reality, but we cannot act our reality. Many of us do the opposite. Just because we read somewhere or Swami tells that you are essentially divine, you are God. Yes, it's true. We all are potentially God, but we cannot act God because our role play is human. Swami said, whatever else you may or may not claim to be, none of us can deny that we all are human beings. And as gold without golden values is unthinkable, so also a human without human values is unacceptable. Therefore, be human, behave human. We are potentially God, as every seed is potentially flower or a fruit. But can we eat the seed? Can we offer seed at the altar of God as flower? No. The seed has to blossom into a flower to be able to be offered as at the altar of God. We all are potentially God, essentially God, essentially equally divine, but we have been given this human body, human mind, human intelligence, human discrimination, and above all, human heart with human feelings to perform our role play as humans. We may be father to our son, son to our father, brother to our sister, boss to our subordinate, subordinate to our boss. We have to perform so many different roles in one day. Every moment our role play changes. So we have to have developed that what Swami calls CIA, constant integrated awareness. We cannot treat every lady in our house equally. Our mother is to be treated and respected as mother. Our wife is different. Our sister is different. They all are females. They all are living in our house. That is why Swami said first common sense, next divine sense. Again, I may say, repeat that today's modern education has programmed our lives in such a way. What we do not use, we lose. We have forgotten to use our common sense, the gift of God. The blossoming should be from common sense to divine sense. Today, we depend so much upon the gadgets that even to Subtract 100 minus 37, we need a calculator. Once I called my grandson in German. I asked him, is it raining outside? He said, Bapuji, just a minute, I will go and search in the Google if it is raining outside or not. We have become so much addicted to the gadgets that we have stopped using our common sense. I remember telephone number of my room partner even after 45 years. But today we can't remember our own cell number because we don't use this memory. We use this memory, cell phone memory. And what we do not use, we lose. Today I'm directed by Swami. Swami once told that all our scientific knowledge, our logic, our rational talk comes to forefront only when we speak about divinity and about God. How can God come back in the same form? Even many devotees ask this, and well-meaning devotees, true devotees, we can't doubt their devotion to Swami. They are sages. But our human mind is programmed like that. Our devotion, our faith, even our love is not yet enlightened love, not yet enlightened faith, not yet enlightened devotion. Shabri did not have any prior experience of Rama, but she had enlightened faith in Rama and word of her Guru. Meera did not have any interviews with Krishna. Her love was enlightened love. When our love is enlightened, when our faith is enlightened, then our love becomes self-effulgent and our faith and the truth becomes self-evident. Can we doubt the narration given by Ishwaramma that when she went to the well for water and she saw, as mentioned by Kasturiji in presence of Swami, Ishwaramma herself told Kasturiji, she saw a blue ball of light entering into her womb and she was brought home. She fainted probably. Is there any scientific explanation on that? Is there any logical explanation on that? God does not function within the parameters of our human logic and human science. Swami used to say very often, where your science ends, my science begins. As mentioned in my previous talk, I saw with my own eyes live Satya Sai Baba in a diamond which was supposed to be, according to Swami, thousands of years old. Swami transported that diamond and then again went back, but I saw Swami's life form. Not only that, during 6 June 1993 unfortunate incident in Puttaparthi, one devotee in London, UK, Dr. Nair, he told many, he has written a book on that. And then Swami called him and he stayed in Puttaparthi. Swami spent 7 days in London in his house during that period in his physical form. Swami had bath, had lunch, breakfast, even he told him not to call people, but his household people, they used to conduct bhajan, interviews, everything. 7 days in his physical form. And when Swami was here in Puttaparthi. And during that, I have mentioned all these things in details in more than 100 videos that I've recorded and put it on YouTube. One can find the details in that. During that incident, whatever unfortunate incidents happened, everybody was sad. And the entire Puttaparthi, I was there. I witnessed everything with my own eyes. And Swami went to the super hospital, and Swami's beloved 4 boys, they lost their lives, especially Radha Krishnan, the Garuda of Swami. And someone told me that Swami shed tears for him. But when he came back, everybody was stunned. Nobody dare even go near Swami. And Swami acted so sad. He was so sad, naturally. And Swami went inside his interview room, and from the interview room, from his chair, he just called one VIP, Professor Ramaraju from Hyderabad. He himself told me in 95 when I visited his house. He went inside the old gentleman, professor of Hindi in Hyderabad University. And he said, Harish, I did not know what to say. I'm being a professor, I was trying to put some words in my brain to express my condolences and my sorrow to Swami. And I went there. This God is sitting on his chair. He said, come here. So he went near Swami, and what this God is telling him, hey Ramaraju, kaisa laga mera drama? He got shock of his life. The whole world is crying. Swami himself shed tears. He acted whatever was to be done as even plain. And this is what he told Kasturiji when Swami's brother-in-law in 1960s, he died, and the entire village was crying. Kasturiji came from, I think, from Bangalore or something, and he also started crying. And he went to Swami. Swami said, why? You are also crying. If I don't make life and death like this, then what will I do for my time pass? This God is beyond human comprehension. And I told him when he appeared to me on my birthday, because there was a deal between me and Swami with his permission, I will mention that interview. During 1978-79, we all know that Swami has declared that a day will come when the entire world will come to Puttaparthi, and no police, no Sevadal will be able to control, and military will surround Puttaparthi, and no plane, no helicopter will suffice, and he will have to move in the sky to give darshan. And people will be able to have his vision only, recognize him only by the orange robe. He will be so far away. It is mentioned. I was reading that book, sitting on the sand. Those days there was no music, no nothing. We just go and sit on the hot sand in the afternoon. While reading the book and Swami's declaration, I got shock of my life. I said, oh, Swami. And Swami declared, only those who are near and dear to me, only few such people will stay with me. Rest will have to have my darshan from distance. They will be able to see only my red robe. I literally cried in darshan, sitting for his darshan, because I had so much attachment. I still have so much attachment and love with this form. Once Swami was trying to convince me in an interview. I said, Swami, I want to be with you. He was trying to convince me, wherever you are, whatever work you are doing, I am with you. That interview is published in Sanatana Sarthi. Brigadier Suresh Bali was with me, and we gave it to Kasturiji, and it was published with Swami's permission. I said, Swami, we are not interested in that omnipresent God. That God was available even before 23rd of November 1926. And that God would be available even after, whenever you decide to leave this body. We are interested in you, Swami. I love you. That's it. This 5 feet 3 inch beautiful form. I will narrate that also. How do I know that it is 5 feet 3 inches? Nobody can know directly unless Swami himself reveals it. I said, Swami, we are interested in this. So I started crying and waiting for his darshan like this, looking at the book and thinking what to do. My situation was like a young bride who is told that Your husband is gone on some mission and he may not come back. You may not have his darshan anytime. Like a widow, I was crying, shedding tears, literally. I didn't know when Swami came out and went on the ladies' side and he came to the gents' side. He came straight to me. My eyes were down. I saw red robe. I looked up. Swami is standing. Hey, kahe ko rota hai? Why are you crying? Go. I got up and I went to the veranda. My wife also was sitting on the ladies' side. She also followed. And this God was so loving, so merciful. He did not call anybody. He abruptly stopped the darshan and came back and took us inside. Kyun rota hai? I thought, now this is the moment I can and I should play my cards very wisely. I used to grab him whenever given interview behind the curtain. I would grab him around his waist and on my knees and enjoy that divine motherly affection. And as I mentioned, I never felt that bodily touch. I always used to feel that it is a light body merging into my body, always. So I went and grabbed him and kyun rota hai? Bolo, bolo, kya mangta hai? He was desperate to give me even the whole Brahmanda if I had asked that point in time. I said, Swami, first you promise me that you will not put any conditions and you will grant me my wish today, whatever I ask for, without any if buts. Swami pe bharosa nahi hai? Don't trust Swami? I said, Swami, bharosa hai. Aap pe hi bharosa hai. I trust you. But this is my prayer. If you promise me that you will not put any conditions on whatever I ask for, then alone I will ask, otherwise let it be. I knew now this God. I said, Swami, now nobody can save you from my love. I knew this. I promise, I promise, I promise. Bolo. I said, Swami, very simple. You have not given me that calculating mind. I don't understand your law of karma theory, nothing. Whatever good, bad, ugly, my karma, whatever account, you will not look into my accounts of karma, these Satyasai and Premasai. I even made booking for the next birth. These two births, I should be with you as your near and as your dear. We shall settle the accounts after two births, but these two births, I should be with you without questioning, without looking into my karmas. My dear brothers and sisters, till now I was hugging him. Now this God hugged me so tight. I love you, I love you, I love you. Then I released myself and leaned against the wall. Then he turned to my wife. My wife was nearly in tears because she was not knowing what is going on between these two, this Janma, Karma, theory, next birth. She was nervous. She was just married, 77. It was 78, 79. We got this interview, 78. So she said, Swami, bas only one prayer. Aap inki raksha karna. This is what every devoted wife would ask. Iski raksha karna. Swami thundered. Iski raksha karna. He is always with me. I am in him, around him, behind him, besides him, always and everywhere. I have become so cool as if I appeared and passed the greatest examination of my life. Then Swami looked at me. हाँ, अभी तो बहुत हंसता है, बहुत खुश है. पहले कैसा रोता था? I said, Swami, why should I cry now? You have made me Jivan Mukta. He said, how? See, this God is asking me. How? I said, Swami, you have promised me these two births, you will not look into my karma, and I shall be your near and dear one, isn't it? Now, suppose, even if I am a Ravana, living with you as your near and dear for two births, Satyasai and Premasai, What will remain, Swami? What will you settle with me? Hey, you pakka Sindhi businessman. I said, Swami, now I'm Jivan Mukta. So I knew in my heart that if I am alive, Swami has to be alive. That was my faith. And once, again, it was my birthday, 1978, 28th of January. We got married 1977. Swami selected my wife for me. I never saw her or knew her. He told my father, she is your daughter-in-law for your second son. That was me. So, and that was my changing the destiny. Swami told Dr. Bhagwat, I have changed his destiny. 77, Swami's birthday, there was some conference and I was Sevadal convener in Thane, district Thane, Ulhasnagar. And I was required to attend that conference. But I got a big government contract. I was registered as B1 class contractor in PWD Maharashtra. And being the youngest and the fresh contractor, it was a great miracle and grace of Swami that I got that contract. Mr. R.T. Atre was the chief engineer. I used to go to his house and he would not take anything, no bribe from me. He would offer me tea, coffee, breakfast, and give me my payments. Ramchandra Atre, he was the chief engineer of government of Maharashtra that point in time. So I was feeling, again, we give so much importance to our little promotions, little business, little knowledge, and little egos. So I thought it is my responsibility to take care of. Swami used to tell me, you बहुत young hai, abhi world ka responsibility dekho. So I thought I will miss Swami's birthday and then I will take care of my business. And then after I finish this job, then only I will go. So I finished my job. And in January, I, with my father-in-law, Dr. Hingorani, and my wife, Pooja, we decided to come to Swami for my birthday. Of course, after marriage, we had spent 15 days with Swami. But after my marriage, this was my first birthday that I wanted to celebrate with Swami. So we came and we were told that Swami is Whitefield. So we reached Whitefield early in the morning and I got my birthday cake, homemade cake and everything, full tray with everything normal, with flowers and rice and fruits and everything and garland those days. So I was made to sit in first row always by Mr. Krishnan. I was always treated like that. So I sat and my father-in-law with me and my wife on the opposite side. Swami came for darshan. He went around. He came to my father-in-law. He would always call him, oh, Dr. Kabaya. He will speak to him always. He was a very noble soul. And Swami took letter from him, gave him Pad Namaskar. And I was holding my tray, so I could not take my Pad Namaskar also. Swami took letter from behind, from this side, that left side, went round, took letter from my wife also, but did not even look at me. Now, this was unthinkable. Those days, anybody going for birthday, Swami would bless. And I had come all the way only to take his blessings. So I started thinking. And Swami started walking back. I cried. I said, Swami, what mistake have I done? I started recollecting everything in my business, in my seva activities. I used to do seva every day, bhajan every day, Nagar Sankirtan every day. I said, Swami, what mistake have I done? Please. Then the voice came. तुम मेरा बर्थडे में नहीं आया, मैं तुम्हारे बर्थडे को क्यों सेलिब्रेट ब्लेस करूं? Look at this universal God. That is why I say this universal God has come to become our personal God. Who am I? Who was I? 70, nothing, absolute nothing. तुम मेरा बर्थडे में नहीं आया, मैं तुम्हारे बर्थडे को क्यों ब्लेस करूं? Swami is walking towards his ashram. There was no trai that time, old bungalow. And I said, in my heart. I said, Swami, I promise, till I am alive, whatever may happen, I will never miss your birthday. But please, Swami, I can't take this. You have to bless me now. Can you imagine, brothers and sisters? Everybody, 90% crowd had moved as soon as Swami started walking back. Many gents who want to catch auto, bus, train, all working people, even the bhajan singers, ladies, everybody, VIPs started getting up. Swami reached the gate, one step inside. The volunteers started closing the door behind him. I said, Swami, whatever, you have to bless me now. This Lord of the universe turned back. The volunteers had to open the gate. Everybody, Swami is coming, Swami is coming. Few 10% crowd, they started sitting and here and there, calling each other. Swami came brisk walk, directly to me. No left, no right, nothing. I was sitting. I stood up on my knees with this tray. He come and blessed the cake, took the flour, put the rice on my head, took my letter, turned back. This is how this God establishes one-to-one, love-to-love, heart-to-heart relationship with each and every one of us. He says, I am ready to give. I am ready to come. Why once? Even again and again and again. Today, I heard someone telling and convincing us that Swami's mission is over, that is why he has gone early. And we have to carry forward his legacy and whatnot. And I caught him other way around. I said, Swami, what have you done? You have promised so many things. You had told us opening of hospitals and institution is not job of an avatar. This is just secondary, incidental. Just by opening up free hospital and free institutions, you don't become God or avatar. Many worthy persons can do it. And they have done it. His mission is, he has declared 1968 Dharmakshetra First World Conference. And he has given an interview to R.K. Karanjia, 76, 2.5 hours interview. I have come to light the lamp of love in every human heart. And I will raise the human consciousness to the next level of awareness. And I will do it single-handedly. Krishna lifted only one Govardhan. This Satyasai will lift the entire range of mountains. Those who doubt it will have to break their heads on the rocks of Puttaparthi. Satyasai Speaks, volume 3, 5, 7, 9. I have been reading from my college days regularly. I will not tell Swami, your job is done and we'll carry forward your legacy. You take rest. Why? I gave him no options. I said, Swami, every avatar, whatever declarations he made or she made, they are not recorded. Your declarations are recorded. I'm not going to leave you on that. We are behaving like a child whom once his father told that he asked a small innocent child, Father, all you have a big house, big car. Why can't I have such big house and big car and big money? The father said, Beta, don't worry. After me, you are the owner. He said, after me means what? When I die, everything comes to you. Why do you worry? And the next question, the innocent child asks, when are you going to die? Innocently. We are like that innocent, not innocent, stupid child. Why we want to carry out his legacy? Swami told the writer who came from America, who wrote the first book on Sai Baba. Swami used to chase him every morning and evening, write a book on me, write a book on me. He could not avoid that inner voice chasing of Swami. So he had to come. And when he came and entered Swami's room, he went up after doing all the survey and all interviews with everybody. Swami said, I'm not interested in your book. I'm interested in you. That's what I tell him. Swami, we are not interested in your legacies. We are interested in you. No lesser authority can raise our human consciousness to next level of awareness. There may be any number of Satya Sai Babas, Prema Sai Babas in the market. We all are Satya Sai Babas essentially. But we cannot perform as Satya Sai Baba. Just by opening a hospital or opening an institute, you don't become Satya Sai Baba. He alone can raise our human consciousness to the next level of awareness. He alone can light the lamp of love in each and every human heart. I told him, you have not done it yet. His mission is yet to begin, he has declared. I will fulfill each and every promise given to you individually and collectively. And he himself has told me that his form is immortal and we are not interested even in any other form, only Satya Sai. And he has said, I'll appear from the sky, I'll walk in the sky. He has to do it, whatever he has promised. We cannot justify anything and everything just by quoting this portion of his speech or this discourse, nothing. We should make him feel that we are interested in him. We are not here to enjoy his legacies and all. None of us is qualified to carry forward his legacy. None of us. Even no lesser avatar can, no other avatar can do it. What he has decided to do. And this God will not go back on his word. Even if all the 14 worlds join together, he has declared, my Sankalpa has to, and he has to do it himself single-handedly. He did not say that XYZ will do it, or he once told that I'm not interested in my institutions or organizations. Close it. He will do it single-handedly. And someone asked him, Swami, then what are we supposed to do? Just keep your hearts and minds pure enough and sure enough to witness my glory. At least that much we can do. I have not given him any options. He has promised. He is already here and he is going to fulfill every promise in his 5 feet 3 inch form. During 1980s, 80-81, Colonel Jogaro used to love me like anything. And he will call me to his Purna Chandra. He used to stay whenever he came from Bangalore. After Nagar Sankirtan, he'll invite me for a cup of coffee. So he said, Harish, this time Swami is coming to Mumbai in January. And you come and meet me in Satyadeep. I said, sir, but nobody would allow me because I'm not a VIP or anything. I'm just a Sevadar convener and Bombay people don't allow Ulhasnagar people to come like that. He said, don't worry, just tell them my name, I will arrange. So I went and I was allowed and I had the privilege when Swami came to Dharmashetra. I think it was 26th of January. So Swami came and Mr. Indulal Shah, Dr. K.K. Mistry and all were there. I was there on the Satyadeep entrance welcoming Swami, and Colonel Jogaro was also there, and all Nityanand brother and all the students, they knew me very well. So Swami was just inquiring from Indulal Shah, just normal things, kaisa hai, kya, whatever. Suddenly, Bombay Sevadar, Mr. Matreja, is related to Mr. Lakshman Chawla, a small person. He used to supply so many things in Swami's stores, a Sindhi person, Mr. Matreja. From nowhere, he came running and he started shouting, Bhagwan, मेरा भाई हॉस्पिटल में हार्ट अटैक भगवान प्लीज भगवान. Now everybody got shocked because nobody can dare talk like this when Swami has just come and breaking all the discipline and talking like this. But now he has come and nobody can stop him also. This God, out of love, he looked at him. What is your height? Now, this person thought that Swami has probably not heard me properly. So he again repeated, Bhagwan, मेरा बेटा, मेरा भाई हॉस्पिटल में, heart problem, Bhagwan, blessing Bhagwan, prasad Bhagwan, please Swami. First tell me what is your height. This person got a little confused. So he still wanted to shout, but Bhagwan was insisting, first tell me your height. Then he thought he has no escape route on that. So he very humbly just said, Swami, I'm 5 feet. You are 5 feet, I'm 5 feet 3 inches. So Swami disclosed his height on that day. And everybody laughed. The entire tension and stress just vanished in a moment. This is the beauty of this avatar. He can make the entire situation into situation, not to take anything seriously. Of course, next day, Swami sent him Vibhuti for his brother and he became all right. So this is how I came to know is one of his secrets, that he is 5 feet 3. I call him 5 feet 3 inch God. So brothers and sisters, let us be very sure we all are his performers. He wants us to perform to please him, only him. We do the opposite. We love him and please each other. एक दूजे से प्रेम करो तो मेरा साई प्रसन्न होगा. If we love each other, Swami will be pleased with us. We have to please Swami and love each other. And to please Swami, we have to perform as humans and behave as humans. Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram. During one of our interviews in Satyadeep, Swami came to me and we were told not to ask any questions from Swami because Swami had to visit South Mumbai for some very important meeting for some VIPs. He had to visit some house. So we were instructed, in fact, not to ask any questions or anything. Swami will just give darshan and be with it. So I was sitting on the 4th row and Swami came straight to me. And straight away he came to me and said, bolo, kuch puchna hai. Now when Swami is asking, kuch puchna hai, then who can stop him? So this is his play. So I got his indication and I asked him this very question. I said, Swami, what is our duty, our seva? Please enlighten us. He said, Swami said, even to think with love is seva. Think with love. Before taking any action in any situation, first think with love. Before dealing with any person in any situation, think with love. Who can stop us on that? Just first fill your heart with his love, because we cannot give what we do not have. We don't have that love. So we have to be connected to his love and think with Swami's love about the person and the situation, and then do our duty as you rightly said. And next, Swami was very, very clear about one thing. You cannot always oblige, but at least you can always speak obligingly or even refuse obligingly. We are humans. We must respect human dignity of each and every person. That is the least we can do. Swami is not interested in big projects or big things. Swami explained that even the lady who is cleaning her house with a broom, thinking of Swami, she is doing seva. So whatever we do, wherever we are, in whatever position, let us be human and behave human. And I repeat again and again and again, a human without human values is unacceptable to Swami. We must ask this to ourselves and introspect. is my behavior, my thinking, my action, and more than action, my reaction. Sometimes we act with love. Suppose we go to a hospital for seva. For example, Sevadals go to hospitals for seva. That point in time, even the most angry young man or angry old man will behave with love. Sai Ram, Sai Ram, Sai Ram. Every one of us. That is not a big deal. Going for seva and being lovable is normal. But Swami says you have to not only act as with love, but react with love with every person in every situation. I have mentioned in one of my recorded talks on videos, which our sister was mentioning before this session began, that in our central hospital, everyone used to give vibhuti, tika, sevadal, sairam, sairam. So one gentleman, he threw the vibhuti, one patient. He said, I don't want your vibhuti. He threw the packet. The sevadal who was serving vibhuti got angry. He could not react with love. So I had to intervene and tell that uncle, I was very young, just 23. I told the uncle, you please, I will handle this. I saw the gentleman wearing a cross. So I knew that he is a Christian. So I told, sir, it is our mistake. We gave you vibhuti because you are a Christian. He said, what Christ, Rama, vibhuti and all? We don't get food. We don't get breakfast. We are hungry. We are not getting enough nourishment. I'm a TB patient. I don't want your vibhuti, your Rama, Krishna or Christ. What will they do to me? So immediately we reacted with love. We arranged for breakfast of milk, bread, butter, jam for all the patients till the authorities realized their mistake and they started serving them what they were supposed to serve. We have to react with love. And the miracle in nutshell, I will tell you, the miracle was Swami appeared in his physical form to feed this man with his own hands in the hospital. That is what he narrated to me. I have recorded it in the videos. You can listen. So this is how Swami wants us to do. Even in office, maybe we have to talk to subordinate. Swami says, when you go to subordinate, you behave like a different person, very humbly. He abuses you, you take it because he is your boss. But when you come to your subordinate, that is the test of your love. Do you behave with that human dignity and respect with your subordinates, with your family, with your wife, with your children? Do they feel comfortable when you are around, or do they feel comfortable when you are out? That is the sign. We have to make everybody comfortable because Swami says, take only God seriously in your life. We take our own selves so seriously, our little authorities, positions, promotions so seriously that we forget that we are humans. That is the secret. Sai Ram. We all should develop questioning mind like Arjuna. Next talk I will give on this, how Arjuna progressed from being questioning devotee to a devotee who surrendered totally. That is from questioning to surrender and shut up. Maybe next talk I will give on that. My 3 interviews, very important interviews, first, second, and third interview. Many interviews, of course, after that. But these 3 interviews, Swami evolved me from questioning Arjuna to the surrendering Arjuna. Arjuna did not follow Krishna in the first chapter. Krishna did not tell him, hey, I am telling you, go and fight and enough, shut up. No. We have to question. But our questioning should not be from the ego. It should be of true devotee. Because we are confused. Every one of us. Every one of us. We should come out of our comfort zone. We are living, we have created our own comfort zones. And we want to be there in comfort zone and we don't want to come out of it. We don't want to face the challenges. Even in spirituality, if you want to evolve, we have to face challenges. We had to pass through the 3 zeros. I have gone through and passed through these 3 zeros with blessings of Swami for 10 long years. Then only the gold becomes the jewel. We have to welcome the challenges, welcome the pain. We must question. Swami only has given the answer. Dharmaja will do paschatap. He will commit a mistake and then he will repent. Always. But Arjuna had this. He will not do paschatap. He will do purvatap. He will first question and then perform. Dharmaja, just briefly, I will mention, which I may mention in, if maybe next time, anytime. He had that itch of playing gamble. So Uddhava asked Krishna, why did you not help Pandavas when they lost Draupadi, he lost his kingdom? You could help them. You could intervene. What kind of friend you are? You say that you are friend to Pandavas. This is no friendship. They were in trouble. You should have gone and intervened and saved Dharmaja. At least you should have saved the honor of Draupadi in time. Then Krishna explained. He said, in this situation, Duryodhana was wiser than Dharmaja. When he invited Dharmaja, after the invitation, after everything was ready to play the game, Duryodhana said, I am going to appoint as my representative, because game was to be played between Duryodhana and Dharmaja. He said, I will put my Shakuni Mama as my representative. So he will play on my behalf, because Duryodhana knew that he cannot win from Dharmaja in this game. Krishna said, just imagine if Dharmaja also had put the same proposal that instead of me, my friend Krishna will play the game. I put Krishna as my representative to play on my behalf. Tell me, Uddhava, who would have won if I had played on behalf of Pandavas against Shakuni? Not only that, I was waiting outside for their invitation. But they had this big ego. They were trying to do, this is the mistake we all do. We want to do many things. Let me share with you a secret. I have lived with all the closest devotees and organization and staff of Swami. The most common dialogue amongst all those people is, if Swami comes to know. Can you imagine? They will talk about Swami's omnipresence on Kulwant Hall, but in private they will say, if Swami comes to know. So we all behave in that fashion. That is why we have confined God to temples, to mosque, to churches, because we do not want God to interfere in our day-to-day affairs. Actually, because our human mind wants to play mischief. Actually, we are like that son who grows up under his father, and he wants to give an air-conditioned office to his father. Father, you sit here, whatever you want, we'll offer you, but don't interfere in our business. They take up his father's business and they don't want his father to interfere in his business. This is the mischief of our human mind. We confine God to our temples and all because we do not want God to interfere in our day-to-day, moment-to-moment affairs. Whereas God wants that we should involve him in every decision-making. I do exactly this. I have given in today's video, which I posted, one of the trust members, my very dear friend, he is now 95, book trust person in Thrai Vindravan. Swami came out earlier than expected. I was sitting outside with Gopal Raoji. I was standing at a position from where I could not move, and Swami came and stood next to me, and this gentleman also came and stood next to me. And so this gentleman gave one letter to Swami, probably a medical report of his wife who was admitted in hospital. Swami looked at the report and he said, मैं क्या कर सकता हूं, तुम मेरे को पूछा नहीं, ऐसे एडमिट कर लिया. Then this gentleman cried. He said, Swami, it is my mistake. Please forgive me. Now please do something. Swami, of course, he did what he wanted to do. But I learned my lesson. Never give chance to this God in my life, at least, to tell me, मैं क्या कर सकता हूं, तुम मेरे को पूछा नहीं. I never create that situation. Every small, good, bad, ugly thought or decision, whatever, first I will report to Swami, take his view, report back to him, and be with it. That's it. Because it is his game, it is not our game. Why should we take the burden? We are like fools who carry the entire luggage on our head when we are traveling by a train. The engine that carries us will carry our luggage as well, whether we keep it on the top or whether we keep it on the head. So we are that foolish people, actually. God is not here to interfere. He is to intervene, to enlighten us, to guide us, to protect us. We think that he is coming and imposing himself on our authorities, little authorities that we claim that we have. We have no authority on next moment. But we are not his puppets. Again, we are his performers. And no good performer would even utter a dialogue on his own. Tell me any performer of any theater or any movie trying to perform and deliver the dialogue, whatever comes to his mind. Impossible, unthinkable. So also, we should invite him. He has come to offer that I want to be your personal God. Bring your all sorrows, your sins, your failures, everything, your stresses, leave it at my lotus feet and take from me my happiness, my joy, my peace, my love. What a beautiful offer. Why should we not take up this offer with both our hands and grab it? And we are not going to give him any options that we will carry out his legacy. Let me repeat, none of us, I repeat, none of us is qualified to carry out his legacy. Not even gods in the heavens can do that. He alone can do, and he has to do. We will not give him any options. Jai Sai Ram.